Would you all please rise for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to welcome everybody here this morning, guests and department heads, elected officials, board members, and call the meeting to order of our June county board meeting. Augie, would you please call the roll?
I'd be glad to. Good morning. Patrick.
Here.
Bruner.
Here.
Chittick.
Here.
Farnham.
Here.
Lorenzen. Luddington.
Here.
Voigt.
Here. Okay, the next item of business is the regular meeting minutes of May 9th and the special meeting minutes of May 21st. You've had those for several days. Are there any additions or corrections to those minutes as submitted by the clerk? Hearing none, I'd accept a motion to approve those minutes as presented.
So moved.
Phil moves,
Second.
Dan seconds. Assume you're ready to vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Next, we move on to claims against the county. You've likewise had those in your possessions for several days. Do you have any questions or need clarification on any issues contained therein? Yes, Carl.
Let me find it here for the sheriff. There's a, okay, $7,100 repair bill for expedition. What was that?
What?
$7,100 to repair the expedition.
Basically motor.
Oh, okay. All right.
Did you get your clarification? Any additions? I'd accept a motion to approve the claims as submitted.
So moved.
Andy,
Second.
second by John. Assume you're ready to vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. They do carry. Next is county board member claims. Likewise, you've had those for several days. Are there any questions? Hearing none, I'd accept a motion to approve those claims.
So moved.
Dan moves.
Second.
Andy seconds. Assume you're ready to vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you. Those are approved. Next, we come to the portion of the meeting for public comment. We have a rostrum up there for you to stand at. We do have, as a rule, for 5-minute limitation on presentation, and I invite the public to that rostrum. If you have something to present to the board, please.
My name is Jeremy Larson. I'm the superintendent for Paris Union School District number 95. I brought donuts paid with my personal money, not taxpayer dollars. So I just want to be careful about that. And we have 2 new administrators with us, but I brought all 3 of our building principals with us. I'll let them introduce themselves. We just want to say thank you to the county board for everything that you do. We're always interested in working with you from a school district perspective. I will be shifting out of the role as principal and superintendent to just superintendent, so if there's anything we can ever do to continue to build relationships or partner together, I'm interested. I'm going to let each of my building principals stand up quickly and just tell you their name, their school, and what grade levels. So.
My name is Megan Carroll. I am originally from Paris, born and raised and grew up here. I am going to be taking over as building principal of Carolyn Wentz Elementary down on Washington Street. We are a grades 3 through 5 building with about 300 students in our school. So we appreciate your time.
Thank you.
My name is Kyle Shea. I'll be taking over the principal role at Paris Mayo Middle School. We are a 6th, 7th, and 8th building. We have right around 270 students, and I'd like to thank you guys for your time today.
And I'm not new. I am the principal at Memorial Elementary School. I will be taking over the Creative Center, which is our preschool program. This is my 6th year as principal, starting my 20th year in the district. I taught at the high school for 14. before moving to Memorial. I have a preschool room, kindergarten, first and second, with right around 300 students each year in my building. So again, we thank you for all you do, and we hope if we can ever be of any assistance, you'll let Mr. Larson know, and we'll do our best.
Jerry was also a painter when we first came to Paris, Ron Dorsey, and I wasn't very good at that.
Now, Mr. Brenner,
He's saying you chose the right career path.
Well, thank you very much for your time. We're going to depart because we have a life insurance meeting that we have to head to for our school district, but thank you very much for your time this morning and everything you do.
Mr. Larson, it was very nice of you to bring your staff, introduce everybody. We appreciate what you do also, but it's nice to be recognized, and we appreciate your efforts.
Okay, thank you very much.
And the numbers.
Yeah.
For the record, the official like we put in the power range.
Okay.
Sir,
Good morning.
good morning.
My name's Thomas Dagley. I'm a Paris resident, lived here most of my life. Recently, there was an ordinance passed by Effingham County. It is an ordinance whereby it says that the state of Illinois, in all of its efforts to overstep the Second Amendment, is not effective in their county. To date, as far as I know, there have been 12 other counties and a few municipalities that have passed that ordinance. I'm a hunter, shooter, have been most of my life, as are many, many residents of Edgar County. I have a copy of the resolution that Effingham passed, and I'd like to pass that around for you guys to take a look at, and perhaps consider passing similar ordinance as well. It pretty much speaks for itself. If you're aware, the legislature has tried to pass some bills lately that limit the Second Amendment. It puts quite a few constraints on gun owners. It's Chicago's efforts of trying not to take care of their problem, but forcing it all on everyone downstate, my personal opinion.
Thank you.
But I think it's something that behooves the county to take a look at and seriously consider, and I hope you guys do so.
We will take it under advisement.
Thank you very much for your time. I
We appreciate you coming before us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good. Thank you. Morning.
Good morning.
Since I'm a preacher, I constrain myself to just a few paragraphs. I don't want you to think it's going to take too long, okay? Prepared, I'll leave you a copy. My wife and I have signed this, and we'll leave it with, thank you, Mr. Chairman, with you. My name is Jack Hoffman. On behalf of my wife Jill, we want to publicly thank you, all of you, for putting on hold the decision to grant a road usage for Ameren and the Illinois Rivers Project. As you may know, the group of Edgar County landowners that filed suit over what we see as an unconstitutional attempt by the ICC and the Ameren to acquire the usage forever of our lands for a huge electric power line or lines was taken to the Illinois State Supreme Court in litigation this past month. We await the decision of the Illinois State Supreme Court on whether or not the circuit court judge's decision that stopped the eminent domain proceedings will be upheld or reversed. Your holding back on the road usage agreement was emotionally and morally uplifting as we've been fighting this land grab for years now. Let me ask you please to not make any quick or rash judgments in the days or months to come. The decision may not be released until late summer or fall. If Ameren prevails based upon their argument that the judge didn't have the authority to stay their eminent domain proceedings when he ruled against the appellate court's renderings on the west side of the state, the judge here was concerned about the landowners of Edgar County not having been afforded due process under the Constitution. I suspect that this issue may not be over yet. The right of due process must be adjudicated, not just the authority of a circuit judge. We're not only fighting for our violated rights, we're fighting for each one of you and every citizen of Edgar County and the state of Illinois. If privately held corporations can be allowed to arbitrarily change their path for easements or decide to go on anyone's property without allowing the property owners due process under the Constitution, then it will be a travesty of justice for all the landowners in our state. It will be our property today, but tomorrow they may decide to run roughshod on your property, and what will your recourse be? So thank you for your support, and please continue to resist those voices that urge you to give Ameren road agreements for their giant heavy equipment until this issue is totally and completely resolved and due process is given to every property owner in Illinois, in particular Edgar County, for my wife and I. Thank you, Ed.
Thanks, Jack. John left? Oh, I thought he was gonna speak.
Oh, shoot.
Okay, I do have a letter that I would like to read in, synopsize rather than read. It's from Dave and Pam Anderson. Their property was burgled here on May 22nd, and they wanted to recognize the performance of the entire sheriff's department, and in particular Dee Bergen. The intruder has been apprehended, it's been adjudicated, and they just wanted to let the sheriff know how pleased they were about how it was handled and how the deputy that was there beat them to, they were at the bank and their alarm went off, and I guess they got a computerized deal that alerted them, and you and Dee were there before they ever got home, so they were very pleased and wanted to say thank you. If any of you want to see this letter, it'll be in the record along with Jack's deal, so at the clerk's office. Is there anything more this morning as far as public comment? All right, we'll move along, and I'd like to introduce Joe Doherty and Larry. I'm sorry, don't know your last name. I can't remember. Fredine. Anyway, these gentlemen will be presenting you with the 17 audit. Gentlemen.
I think all of you have got a copy of the audit there. And for one thing, the final that was put on your desk has not changed from the original draft that you were able to review. So no changes there. This is a little different than what you've seen in past years because the state controller came out with a decision that various types of organizations of which county falls under that domain had to convert to an accrual basis instead of the modified cash. So for years, you've consistently followed the modified cash. This year, you've got an accrual basis, which has really made some major changes, and it also highlights something else, because it's now on the accrual basis instead of the modified cash. They're not comparable with the prior year. So usually we compare this report, we have the current year, and we have the prior year for comparison. There is no prior year because it was incomparable data. It was cash basis in prior years, or modified cash basis. So that was a big difference there. I'm not going to take the time to go through all this detail since you've had a chance to review it and so forth, but I just want to kind of hit some of the highlights here of some of the major differences. If you, I might make one statement. The basic difference between accrual and modified cash is an accrual basis statement. It's what they call in generally accepted accounting principles. And accrual basis, you pick up any receivables and you pick up any payables. So if someone owes you for something that you've done as a modified cash, that's not going to be reflected. On an accrual basis, it'll be reflected as some type of receivable. The other side is the same token for the expenditures. In the past, if it's modified cash, it's strictly the cash that is written during the year. Now, under the accrual basis, if you've incurred some expenses and haven't paid, they're charged to the expense and picked up as an accounts payable. So that would be reflected in liability. So that's the two major changes that you would be looking at in this. If we look at the financial statements themselves, the first page in there is the independent auditor's report. And we do have an unqualified opinion as far as the accrual basis versus the change. So the if you take a look at page 7 and 8, this is your statement of net position as of the close of the year November 30. And this, as I say, is where in past years we've had comparisons, and this year, because of the change in the method required by the state, there is no comparative data there. Now, you can find some of that information back in the depth of the report itself, but it's not gonna be highlighted like it has been in the past. So, in your statement of net position, you'll come down to the bottom there of $23,231,000. And if you go to the next page, this is your statement of assets here and your deferred flows of resources. The next page is the liabilities and your net position. So when you come down to your net position, it's broken down into some various categories there. But you can see that the total net is $3,503,000. So that, the difference between the net there of the 3 million and the 23 million that's shown as total assets in the previous page is your total liabilities. Those are reflected there in the middle of the page of $26,456,000.
Joe, I want to make a comment. On page 7, on the current assets where it says taxes receivable, that are state taxes like income tax, sales tax, and stuff like that.
Right.
$340,000, that's how much was owed to us in arrears at that point in time. That is something we don't normally see. You'll ask me how we are doing. Well, the state was basically behind $340,000. Thank you, Joe. I'm sorry to bother you.
That's fine, no problem. In fact, if anyone has any questions, feel free to interrupt at any time. Yes.
And the difference in our assets and liabilities, that $3,500,000, is tied directly to the reporting now that we haven't done in the past of the Illinois Municipal Retirement Fund
That's,
fiduciary responsibility.
yes, that's in there also, yeah.
Okay.
So there's some major changes that has taken place in that categories. Of those, in fact, I've got some detail further back in the report that will kind of look at some of the detail of some of that type of thing that has taken place in those categories too. So that is where you stand from a standpoint of equity at this point, with the changes that have taken place going to the accrual basis. And then I got some detail on some of those accrued items further back in the report. Now, on page 9, there's statement of activities. Here is your primary government functions and your programs of the expenditures. And of those, you can see the expenditures of 12 million and charges for services of $1 million and so forth. If you go to the bottom here, you got your net position at the end of the year is $3,503,000 as negative. Now, that includes some major liabilities in the pension plans, but the county does not have any option on those pension plans. That information flows through to them, and that is set up by the people with the pensions and so forth. So those are based on the statistics and the requirements of those organizations. So it's not a reflection directly on the county. It's going to be an obligation that's going to be met in the future. That's how they determine it. Actuaries have established all of this. There's a lot of these reports further back in here that's all based upon actuarial data that they send us, and we're required to put it in. We don't calculate that and determine what that is. And there's some major items of that category. But we got some detail back here. I may not take the time to go through all that detail because I don't think we all want to be here the rest of the day. But yeah, we do. Okay. But it is available back here in depth.
Can you make a general statement, you or Larry, as to what our position is on IMRF? I mean, we hear so much about the state being behind, but as far as, are we doing everything that we're responsible doing and doing it in a proper way, even though that reflection is the 3.5 to the negative?
Yes, because see, and there's one of the major changes there. That 3.5, as I say, that's based upon actuarial projections and so forth. So,
Well, let me check.
anytime.
In pages 26 to 41,
Right.
in the report, goes through in tremendous detail how the actuaries calculate this money. Is your active people, inactive people, all their variables, how they think their investments are gonna pan out, what they think the interest rates are gonna be for the next 20 years. I mean, this is the numbers they give us. They basically want, the government wants you guys to be aware, and the citizen to be aware, that there's this unfunded liability out there that you're gonna be funding year to year. You're not paying ahead. What you're paying in the IMRF is just basically current expenses, et cetera. But that's what everybody's doing.
But in a certain sense, that liability is kind of the IMRS liability rather than our liability, but since we're a part of it,
Right.
it comes back
This
into
is,
our
this
books.
is your piece of
Yeah,
their liability,
yeah,
And they're,
based on 30 years out,
right.
or whatever it is.
and most of these figures were not last year's, they're the year before. Isn't that the reporting period?
Well, yes, that's where it gets complicated too. They're not up to date because the IMRF is on its calendar, you're on your calendar, every other government's on their calendar, so they give it to you based on, December 2015.
For
That's the
example,
most current information they would have that would be applicable to you.
and we've dropped about an extra 400,000 that's not reflected in that yet. So
That's another thing you gotta keep in mind.
we've been very aggressive about
Yeah.
how we treat this.
Yes.
Yeah, at one time, we were underfunded at the current point.
Right.
We have caught all that up, and now we are on a year-to-year, keeping our head above water kind of thing, just maintaining a certain, so from what I understand, there's a lot of counties that did not, and I've said this before, were not that aggressive, and they are still facing some hard times trying to get the underfunded part taken care of that's currently, let alone the liability that's out there in the future.
That's very true. You could be commended for having jumped ahead on some of that and funded some of that, instead of waiting like some of them have, and they're gonna be behind the 8 ball when it's time to get there. So from that perspective, you're in very good shape from that perspective there. I think, Larry, what's the pages back here that shows the detail of the actuarial data?
26 to 41.
Which ones?
26 to 41.
26.
Note 7.
Yep, yes, can I make a comment to the board regarding that?
Sure, while they're looking, go ahead, Aaron.
I think that's, I've only been here 10 years, but that's the first time as the county engineer that I've heard that Edgar County has an unfunded pension liability, or an underfunded pension liability. So when we pay 4% as an employer for our employees, I want to think that we've paid our share.
Well, we
So it makes me
addition,
very nervous to hear that,
no, you shouldn't be.
okay,
And we do have an additional payment every year that we do make besides the percentage that we make in payroll. We pay $3,212 a month, and that's given to us by RMRF that does go towards, and that'll vary from year to year, to fund our underfunded, if you want to call that. Okay?
the Illinois Municipal Retirement Fund saying that their burden, their future liability is to be shared by Edgar County. Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, it
I think
always,
that's what I'm hearing.
first of all, IMRF is solid as a rock, all right?
So why is it
Number two,
negative?
yes, we do share, and it is our fiduciary responsibility to help catch up all the time. And the report in 2 years may be totally different, right?
Very much so. yes.
It just depends. It's a very fluid thing,
Okay.
okay?
In fact, I would definitely anticipate that it'll be considerably different. But I wanted to point out then on, starting on page 26, here's some detail of the IMRF. And the system as defined by the benefit pension plans. So, as I say, a lot of this now is, you don't have much control over that. They're gonna tell you what your share is on this, based upon actuarial data of the employees and the future employees and so forth. But they will furnish that information to you on an annual basis, so in the future, hopefully, we'll be able to incorporate that into your report on an annual basis to see what type of progress is being made. But that is an assumption on my part that they will furnish this to us. That's the intent at this point. So, as I say, because of all the detail in here, I didn't think that I would just take the time to go through all of this detail and see if anyone has any questions, because there's 82 pages of report, there's a lot of detail in here. And we've kind of hit the highlights here at this point. And as I say, I welcome any questions that anyone has.
Couple questions, if you don't mind. I didn't see, and maybe I'm missing it, we had detailed expenditures for all the different departments, and, well, I don't even remember what pages those are through. But I didn't see one for,
50.
yeah, I didn't see one for the highway department.
We just do one for the county highway department, county highway fund, not as the highway department as a
Okay.
whole.
Okay,
Because the way the system works is you calculate what they call major and non-major funds, depending on how big it is. So we only show budget to actual if you qualify as a quote-unquote major fund.
okay, well, and we see the expenditure reports every month, so I wasn't
But I mean, there
really
is,
worried about it.
there is a breakdown of all the other highway funds in the back.
Okay, yeah, I saw
But
the
it's not-
funds,
it's
but
not-
not as the department.
It's not as a budget, you don't budget to actual, the
Okay,
40 other non-major funds, some of them don't even have budgets.
right. I thought that one might have been, whatever. And also towards the back in the 50s, shoot, 50s through 70s, you have the statement of assets, liabilities, and fund balance. You have a Schedule O and a Schedule CC. What the heck's the difference besides the numbers?
Well, it depends, we have, for the sake of trying to keep this straight, we have combined some of these other funds into like what we consider similar funds, into a grouping and then broke them out. As opposed to having one long report with 40 funds, we tried to take in chunks of funds
Okay,
into like for example, page 72, those are the highway funds that aren't the front, that isn't the county highway fund. Got your federal funds, I mean your federal matching and county aid, et cetera, et cetera.
okay, and then page
Then you-
58, which I'm not picking on you, Aaron, but the highway department is coming up. Those are the,
That's just the
that's
county
the county
highway,
part,
the
okay.
county highway fund itself, fund, whatever it is.
Okay, it was the same categories and different numbers.
Right, right, because ultimately, every fund, no matter how small, is gonna be in here somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, I just couldn't figure out the difference between the two, but that
Well, I
explains
mean,
it.
it's, you have a calculation what they call major funds, and you pile everything else into non-major funds. But rather than have one big, long report, we chopped it up into more manageable groups.
Okay.
Other questions, gentlemen? You might highlight page 45. Beginning year fund balance of general fund versus end of year fund balance.
Page 45?
Yeah, it's just dropping, but you're still negative.
Oh, well, you should have seen it when Carl and I got on the board.
Well, we remember.
It's improving. Put it that way. Any other questions?
I got one, would, unless they had assets that would, the fund, if you would, the IMRF fund, would you say that probably most other agencies are facing the same issue that we are?
Oh, definitely.
We've seen clients that are in the 100 million category, you're only in the 20s. Liabilities,
Okay,
yeah.
Yeah, comparatively speaking, you're in much better shape than a lot of them.
okay.
Joe,
And there's, go ahead.
I thought you were done.
I just want to point out that there's a plan and, you know, we roll with the punch year to year to make up those differences.
Yeah, as I say,
And there's resources to do it.
they're looking at that, they're based upon actuarial studies.
Right.
So they're gonna give us information each year as to where we stand and what it's gonna take and so forth, so.
Don?
So a lot of this is based on estimates, projections and stuff. And part of the problem that has caused, even though we've done our proper employer part and then the employee part, basically people are living longer. That's one of the factors, and it's drawing on these pensions, and they're not getting the return like they used to years ago. You start combining all this, and that's why we have to, every county has to step up to the plate and help make this proper again, right?
That's right, that's what it amounts to. It's gonna
Okay.
be prorated out to everybody.
Further? Where's the agenda? I got it. So can we have a motion to accept the audit from Joe Doherty's firm?
I'll make that motion.
Carl moves. John seconds. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor, or do we want to call the roll? Or okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. We have accepted it, Joe.
Okay.
I've got some paperwork up here to execute. We'll get that to you. There's a couple of changes on your cover sheet. You have, and I've made some changes. We have different board members than what you've listed,
Oh, okay,
so we'll get that
okay.
stuff
Appreciate it.
straightened up. Thank you both very much for being here. We appreciate your efforts on our
I'll
behalf.
take it back, yeah.
Thank you. I
All right.
think overall, you're on the
I'm
right
sorry,
track.
go
You're going the right way.
All right, thank you, sir.
It's just gonna take time because of past history.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks again, Larry.
And we'll be filing your AFR now that we're approved.
Okay,
We still got 6 weeks because of the extension, but
we
no
understand.
problem.
Thank you very much. All right, on the agenda, the next item is Highway Department resolutions. The first resolution is for the improvement of BLR 09110, appropriating motor fuel tax for the following: various routes, section 18-00138-00 EG, and I understand there's what, several under this one? So if you'd like to just bring us up to date on all these and tie them together?
Yeah, the first two items are tied together. In item one here, you're gonna appropriate, I think, $20,000 or $25,000 of motor fuel tax to be used in item two, which will be the same, which will be an engineering agreement to provide construction documentation guidance for federally funded projects. So the first resolution here is to appropriate motor fuel tax to be used for that section.
All right. Can I have a motion that will approve that resolution one?
So moved.
John moves. Phil seconds. Would you call the roll, please?
Patrick,
Yes.
Bruner,
Yes.
Chittick,
Yes.
Farnum,
Yes.
Luddington.
Yes.
5-0, does carry. Okay, the next resolution is the authorizing the chairman to sign BLR 05511, local agency consultant agreement with the Hillard Bookkeeping Service to appropriate motor fuel tax funds for various construction guidance and documentation assistance. And that ties directly into what he was just talking about, number one. So is there a motion to approve that? Dan moves, Carl seconds. Would you call the roll when you're ready, sir?
Patrick, Bruner,
Yes.
Chittick,
Yes.
Farnum,
Yes.
and Luddington.
Yes.
Thank you, it does carry. The next two items, please.
Exact same thing. In item 3, you'll decide whether or not you want to appropriate motor fuel tax to be spent on this section. In item 4, you will spend that motor fuel tax. You authorize the chairman to enter into an agreement to spend that motor fuel tax. And this is the Horace box. This is a box just east of the Horace Broughton Road and Shiloh Road, where we're going to do a phase 0 study to look at possible future improvements. And it may end up being a project that would like bump out a Camp Bridge. We're basically getting another federal project ready to move forward. Not shovel ready, but to get a phase 0 out of the way. Size, type, size, location, bridge condition report, that type of thing. Environmental clearances, which takes a long time. So you just kind of get out ahead. And also we have a drainage district that's very interested in possibly doing some directional drilling or tiling across that road. And before we either engage with them or just give them a permit to do such, we want to do more long-term planning. Yes.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I assume you're gonna have Knight address the drainage district, but concerns at the same time.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Okay, number 3 is a resolution for improvement of BLR 09110, appropriating fuel tax for the following FAS 679 Horace Brockton Road. Do I hear a motion to approve this resolution, please?
I'll make the motion.
Carl moves.
Second.
John seconds. Assume you're ready to vote. Mr. Clerk?
Patrick?
Yes.
Brunner?
Yes.
Chittick?
Yes.
Farnum?
Yes.
Ludington?
Yes.
And the last highway resolution, which ties into number 3, is resolution authorizing the county board chairman to sign a BLR 05510 local agency consultant agreement with Knight and Associates for the same roads.
So moved.
Carl moves.
Second.
John seconds. Assume you're ready to vote. Mr. Clerk?
Patrick?
Yes.
Brunner?
Yes.
Chittick?
Yes.
Farnum?
Yes.
Ludington?
Yes.
And I'd like to note that I did not get those out of order, and I did them. Dan, don't look like that. Okay, number 10, resolution authorizing county board chairman to sign an agreement with Prospect Bank regarding conveyances of property on North Central Avenue adjacent to Edgar County Sheriff's Department. We do not have everything we need to do that yet. We are looking to get a final review by the state's attorney. So what is your pleasure at this point?
Is that the property on the, where Hague's Motors used to be, or is this something different?
Part of it.
Okay.
There's two parcels.
Probably should be taken.
Jeff?
Sir?
To address some of the concerns from Monday, I have met with the state's attorney and shared the concerns, and he's going to address those.
Okay, very good. What's your pleasure?
Make a motion to table that for.
Okay, do I hear a second? Andy seconds. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. It is tabled, gentlemen. Okay, resolution to adopt prevailing wages for 2018.
Can I ask a question about that first? How many employees of the county are actually affected by this? So, I mean, I was going through their list and, outside of a couple guys in the highway department.
It's people
People
retired.
come in.
Oh, it's purely for outside contractors, so.
Yes, sir, that is correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and for the record, our guys aren't anywhere near scale.
Yeah, it's kind of what I was thinking.
So,
But unless we adopt the prevailing wage, we don't get some of the funding or grant, how does that work?
yeah, it trips a trigger that would hold up reimbursements and so forth from federal and state funding. Mr. Bruner has made a motion to approve prevailing wage.
I'll second.
Phil seconds. I assume we'll do a roll call on that.
Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Patrick?
Yes.
Brunner?
Yes.
Chittick?
Yes.
Farnum?
No.
And Ludington?
Yes.
It does carry. Next, we have a resolution approving bond of John McGinnis, Commissioner of Brockton Drainage District of the County of Edgar in the state of Illinois. Motion to approve.
So moved.
John moves, Carl seconds. Whenever you're ready.
Patrick,
Yes.
Bruner,
Yes.
Chidick,
Yes.
Farnum,
Yes.
Luddington.
Yes.
Okay, next we have a resolution authorizing the chairman to sign an addendum to the professional services, wait a minute, yeah, agreement for Joseph E. Myers and Associate to increase the minimum sale bid to $750. That does increase the amount of money that Joseph A. Myers does get on transaction, but it does increase also the amount of money that the taxing districts get by a small amount also.
And look, is the percentage still the same, just since there's a higher minimum?
Oh, I can't say that.
Usually the only time that this minimum happens is after the sealed bid auction, when it's first come, first served. They have to first offer it to everybody on the sealed bid, then if there's anything left over that didn't get bids on, that's where that 750 will come into play.
Okay.
And of the increase, 100 of it goes to Joseph A. Myers and 50 is split amongst the taxing bodies of the increase.
Is this the property that's on delinquent tax roll this year?
I'm sorry, I didn't
Is
catch
this
it.
the property that will be on delinquent tax roll eventually? And then-
Yeah, eventually, yes.
That's where it started out at, then eventually goes to the 2.5 to 3 year procedure where we get it through the tax agent.
Yes,
I'm not sure, the property on Woods and Eads, will that be on the delinquent tax roll this year, or do you have any idea?
We don't have any idea at this
I
time.
just wondered. As somebody wants to buy it, that's the reason why I asked. Or pay the taxes.
do I have a motion to approve this resolution, please? Andy moves, is there a second? Bill seconds. I assume you're ready to vote. Would you please call the roll?
Patrick,
Yes.
Bruner, Chidick,
Yes.
Farnum,
No.
and Luddington.
Yes.
4-1, it is approved. Okay, the next item is a resolution from Joseph E. Meyer authorizing chairman to execute a deed on the conveyance of said parcel to Brian E. I don't know how to pronounce that. Dolio? Dolio-E?
That's close.
E-I-E-I-O.
We get it.
Is there a motion to approve the resolution, please?
I'll make that motion.
Carl moves,
Second.
John seconds. When you're ready.
Patrick,
Yes.
Bruner,
Yes.
Chidick,
Yes.
Farnum,
Yes.
and Luddington.
Yes.
Does carry, 5-0. Okay, recommendation by Joseph E. Meyer and Associate, Inc., to authorize treasurer and county clerk to assign tax sales certificate 160086 to Joyce Miller for parcel 09-18-12-111-008. Straightforward.
Straightforward. They've done this before on a Chrisman property. Basically, this person in simple terms is redeeming the taxes and then some and becoming the owner of the certificate that eventually they can pursue ownership of the land, as if Joseph Meyer would have. This happens to be an adjacent landowner to the property.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
John moves, Dan seconds. I assume this is a roll call.
It is.
Okay. Can you call the roll whenever you're ready?
Patrick,
Yes.
Bruner,
Yes.
Chidick,
Yes.
Farnum,
Yes.
Luddington.
The next item is the appointment of Carolyn Heath, Roger Stanley, and Ray Young to the Edgar County Board of Review for the term ending May 31st, 2019. Little background on it. Augie and Dina went back in to try to see where the appointments were made, the terms and everything else. And the record was incomplete, so what we thought we would do was appoint all of them to the same term, and then at the end of the term, get them on what's required. Okay? So that's kind of the strategy. Did I say that okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Is that like ones for 2 years and 4
Right.
years?
Well, no,
One.
2 and 1.
2 more?
2 and 1.
And then the makeup,
It's
it depends
political
upon the
makeup's the
political
problem.
So we'd like to wait till after this election, make sure the political makeup will be correct, and then we can move forward with assigning terms.
But we wanted to make sure they were legally appointed, so we didn't have any issues.
So we appoint these people,
That's correct.
whether we like them or not.
Well, you don't have to appoint them.
That's why, yeah, that's where I agree.
Phil, do you realize you said that out loud?
Yes. I'm gonna be straight up, I don't like what they do.
All right,
It's just a personal opinion.
that's
I
fine.
have a right to my opinion. This is America.
Yes,
Is
Dan?
that is this a paid position?
They get a small
Like a
stipend.
monthly stipend,
Yeah.
right, for 6 months of the year.
They have a budget, or Tina has a budget that she works with on that.
So they are, it is a paid
Yeah.
position.
I'd,
They also
enter-
have an educational requirement too, so they have met those.
And all three are currently serving.
Correct.
I'd entertain a motion to reappoint these three individuals.
So moved.
John moves. Don't know.
Second.
Who seconds? Carl seconds. Assume you're ready to vote. Do we want to do a roll, or do we?
Generally, you don't appointments, but that's entirely up to you.
Why don't we do a roll?
I agree.
Okay.
Patrick,
Yes.
Bruner,
Present.
Chittick,
Yes.
Farnham,
Yes.
Luddington,
No.
You'll have to have me
With
vote.
the capital N.
and Voight.
Yes. In that, we need to have 4 to approve, so we do have 4, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you, gentlemen. I know some of these issues are tough, and we all respect each other on our differences, okay?
I don't have any problem with these guys. These guys are great.
No, I understand. That's
I still like them.
fine.
I'm not doing my job then, Lou.
Okay, the next is the appointment of Rob Hackett to the advisory board out at the airport, term to expire 9/1/19. This was submitted to us by Derek and agreed to by the airport advisory board. So I'd entertain a motion to approve this appointment.
So moved.
Phil moves,
Second.
Carl seconds. Assume you're ready to vote. All those in favor?
I
Go ahead,
talked to
please.
Rob personally.
Sorry.
And he's excited to be on it. He realizes how important it is to have the airport and good it is for the community, and he's happy to serve on it.
I assume he's a pilot. Doesn't have to be, I just.
I don't know whether he's current, but in the past he has been. He's had airplane
I
experience.
mean, but I just asked.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
doesn't make any difference one way or the other.
he's, in the past he has, but I don't know whether he currently is or not certified.
Any other questions? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Carl. Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Congratulations to Rob. I hope he enjoys his term on the board. The next item is the sheriff's semi-annual report. Do we have that in there?
Yes, it was just handed to us.
So we don't,
We do have it.
okay.
I don't know if he wants to comment or not.
Do you have a comment on it, Sheriff?
Not this time, nope.
Do they have a,
No, we just got it.
oh, okay. Right on time, huh?
Yep, he was not late, but. If you, we can make copies for those that would like a copy.
When you get done, I need a copy.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing a
All right,
copy
Pretty
of it.
good.
Okay, the next item, and we don't have to take any action on that, do we?
No, but what you've done in the past is just know.
I'll
that
make a
everything-
motion, we put it on file.
Thank you.
All right, yeah, we'll put that on file, thank you. Next item is the county.
He made a motion. Need a second.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I thought he just said
He just wanted to
it
put
was
it on
available.
file.
Carl has made a motion to put it on file.
Second.
Is there a second? Dan seconds. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. It is on file. Next is the county clerk's report.
And mine was delivered on time, a little bit sooner than the sheriff's, but you do have a copy of that in front of you. And Not, really nothing significant to report other than the bottom line. The revenues were a little higher than in the past. So some recording. I think some of the vital certificates that we issued contributed to that. And
Whenever you get done. We changed some of the, or what it costs to do certain things. Has that increased our revenue a lot, or?
Oh, yes, significantly.
We did that, what, 3 years ago?
Yeah,
I just wanted.
yes.
After a survey,
Yeah, we had-
after the appropriate documentation was done, yes, sir.
Sorry to interrupt you. that is.
You're not interrupting.
Sorry to interrupt you.
Anything else?
Yes, I'm probably going forward, you're going to see a monthly report, which is what the statute calls for. I don't know how or why it ever was a semi-annual. But to be quite honest, it would be more efficient for me to present that to you monthly because we have to send the monthly report over to the treasurer's office. So I'm just going to give you a copy of that.
And so we won't be having a semi.
So I won't be giving you a semi-annual. That's just something that's always been done.
Tradition.
And so, but the numbers will always be available if you have any questions.
Do I have any further questions of Augie? If not, I'd entertain a motion to place that report on file, please.
So moved.
John moves. Andy seconds. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Okay, we come to department head officer reports. Don?
The report I gave you, cash flow is consistent with past years, right in between some of the years, a little high, on the higher side. We still have quite a few state payments to receive. As a matter of fact, by the time I get back, it always happens, first thing I check is that the funds usually hit around 10 o'clock for the reimbursement of state's attorney, supervisor of assessments, and public defender, which will be around $16,000, $17,000. So if you guys would have your board meeting at 10 or 11 o'clock, you know, I'm just saying, we'll go better off. Anyway, other than that, I do have one question before I take questions for the building and grounds. Is there any update on the concrete work that we need to have done in the front of the building? It is crumbling more and more, especially I think because of all the Mother Nature moisture that's been hitting us. I'm just concerned when the things get rolling on the tax bills going out, there are people that are chomping at the bit. Most of them that are chomping at the bit are older than me. I'll just put it that way. They like to get that paid and make their dead parents happy that they paid their taxes, and
That's something you probably might do on the weekend or a holiday.
yeah.
Probably true. We only got one access in there, don't we?
I haven't talked to Dave. Maybe we'll have to address that.
Have we addressed that at all with the city? And what their responsibility is there? I'm just asking.
The front of the building to the south of us
Yeah.
goes right along the line where it's crumbling, so it's one of those gray areas, but I would say it falls more on us.
Yeah.
Well, I just,
It's set, the building is set back from what most of the buildings are, so it's really not, probably where the damage is probably on our property. It's not really the city. But I don't know when this,
I'd hate to set a precedent either. I mean, it's just, you know.
They used to have a policy that pays for the materials, you provide the labor.
Can you check that for us really quick? Don't hold it, I mean, see if somebody,
Sure.
So you'll check that, get with me.
get with him like today.
Okay.
And while
Well,
I don't know if it'd be possible, since there's a kind of a slight incline right there, to incorporate a handrail somehow Just something to think about.
See, with this new project that, I don't know whether it's gonna happen this year or next year, you know, from the high school to the railroad track, I think all the sidewalks are gonna be replaced, so, you know, we gotta maybe coordinate with that. I mean, I think you've got an immediate problem, and I think we need to address that before this whole project is gonna take place. But
Right.
as far as the handrail and all that, I think we need to maybe hold off on that.
Dina,
Just
do you have a-
replace the, what, immediate problem right now.
Was it you that sent me the email or somebody about maybe
Oh,
TIF
TIF?
funds?
I was in education last week, and the gentleman talked a lot about TIF districts, and he thought there was a provision that TIF funds could be used for a public building. Because I wasn't sure, since public buildings don't contribute to the tax base, but he thought there might be some kind of language in the TIF direction, if you will, of whether or not those funds could be used for public buildings.
And
So
I
that
would
might
bet-
be worth looking
But
into.
when
And it might be at the discretion of the city too, 'cause they're the ones in charge of that, aren't they, the TIF
Yeah,
funds?
there's a TIF council.
And there are grant applications being prepared or already prepared. I think the city is gonna dip into those funds to use some of those funds for the issues
But
around town.
realistically, we're not looking at that big of a project,
No,
you know.
we don't wanna do something that's gonna hold us up.
Right, yeah, I mean,
But we want the safeties first.
yeah, we've got
It's
to,
like 4x4.
yeah, we've got to get it done, and the price of a yard of concrete is not gonna, you know, if we can get TIF to pay for it, fine, but I say let's do it.
If we're only talking that big area, I think about it, just do it.
Yeah.
Half the size of this.
Yeah, let's just,
Okay, any questions for me?
Is there a timing? I have a quick question. What's the timing on that?
Now.
it's now, I mean,
I think he wants it before people start bringing their taxes in.
So,
When's the tax?
couple
bill?
weeks, we need
In
to
the
have
next
it
couple of weeks
fixed.
it needs to be done?
Yep.
Okay. I'll discuss
Can you
with
work
Jen-
out with Don
Jen
and, yeah,
Andy.
yeah, and Andy, yes.
I wanna make sure it fits in with what they're gonna do on the sidewalks too. I mean,
Yeah.
what they're they're probably going through. gonna tear the whole thing out anyway.
It sounds like a pretty easy repair. It doesn't sound like it's a lot, right?
I know what you're
To get
thinking,
to
so
where
you
it is.
three
Yeah.
work it out, okay?
Yep.
Any other questions of Don? Thank you, though, for bringing that to our attention. Okay, are you covered with what you wanted?
Yeah, Priorities Edge has got the utility work going on between now and July 5th is when it starts, so that's significant. There's something else that I mentioned, but I can't remember what it was.
I will come back to you. Dina?
2018 reassessment is almost complete. 4 of the 5 townships are done. We are still finishing up Elbridge. They're out today. A couple more days on to finish that out. And since I brought up the education last week, one thing, assessment offices have gotten so much negative publicities due to some of our surrounding counties, neighboring counties. We learned in the education, they didn't have 2017 information available yet, but in 2016, 91 of the 102 counties received 1 multipliers. So assessment offices, employees, they're doing their job. We've got a lot of negative publicity, and I just wanted to throw that out. 91 out of 102 got 1 multipliers. The process is working, the people are doing their jobs.
But the 11 get all the,
And one of those is Cook,
Yep.
so
Imagine
we
that.
don't even count them. So.
Any questions of Dina, please?
Yeah, I was looking at your final report here on the board review. I noticed there's like 5,000 general homestead exemptions. What is that?
Owner occupied.
Owner
General
If you live in your house, you get your tax
Right.
bills cheaper than if you
How
own a
much
house and
cheaper?
rent it out.
So you can receive up to $6,000 off of your assessment before the tax rate's applied. It's the difference between your 1977 equalized assessment and your current, and for most people, that's $6,000. That's the limit, the maximum. So your
Yeah.
assessed value minus $6,000 times the tax rate.
Yours is probably in the 300 to 350 range out on your rate.
I noticed, you've got a list of all these exemptions. Ballpark, do you have any idea how much that amounts to?
Oh, millions.
I've got it here somewhere.
I think the county, last time I ran the report, it was like $42 million in assessed value is wiped out by exemptions, and a lot of that is due to the new veterans exemption. If they have a certain disability, they don't pay property taxes, and we're seeing a shift of those veterans purchasing higher-end homes, knowing they don't have to pay taxes.
Yeah, I was surprised to see there are 91 disabled veterans in Eggy County.
Don't get me
Okay.
wrong,
Yeah, I'm not arguing it, I just,
Yeah,
that
I'm helping the
seems like
veterans,
a big
but a
number.
lot of those disabled veterans are holding full-time jobs, so.
Vet exemptions are 1.36 million. Remaining homestead exemptions are 41.4 million. And EAV TIF exemptions are a little over 7 million. So it drops the the assessed value from 392 million down to 342 million. Okay? That's for the 18 levy. Okay? All right. Monty, it's good to see you.
Nice to be seen, thank you. Nothing new to report, things are going along nice and smoothly.
Thank you. Angie?
I don't have a lot. I have a full house. I've got all my positions filled. And I have, well, I submitted that claim for the microfilming of the old records. And the way I understand it, if we scan in our records, there's a way that we can electronically send them, and it might be cheaper next time, so.
Okay,
Anyway, that's all I have.
all right. Sheriff?
Nothing this time.
Augie?
Well, really the only thing I have is I want to let you know that today is Terry's last board meeting. She's submitted her resignation, is going to move on to another opportunity. And so I just want to wish her all the best, good luck, and thank you for all that you've done. And we had 2 open positions. I do have them filled. One's just starting, one's coming in 2 weeks. A lot of learning curve ahead of us. And so we'll do the best we can, but I'm optimistic we'll get back up to full speed in the near future.
Do we get a vote on her leaving? I vote no.
I vote no.
That's all I have.
Would,
No.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's it. I'm good.
On tax bills, I know we're in the process, just so you'll know, the tax bills or the levies are still being reviewed in the clerk's office, and they'll be going over to Don's office here shortly. It'll take a few days there. You guys are gonna print the bills at your facility this time.
Yeah, we started doing it last year and it worked out pretty well. Cheap.
So tax bills probably will not be out till the end of the month.
I'd like to have them mailed by the end of the month, but it,
No hurry.
All right, take your time.
You ought to be busy.
Anyway, everybody's working on it. My point was, and not to corner anybody into promising this or promising that, but the process is in being done, and we'll get them out correctly at our best opportunity. Okay, board member reports. Did I forget any? No, I didn't. Dan, do you have any? You have some nice things to talk about.
I called Andrew yesterday, and she said that NAL had donated the material and the labor to paint the inside of the animal shelter. So I went out and looked at it. It really looks nice. It's light blue halfway up and white for the ceiling. So the board would like to thank them for their service project, and looks really nice.
By chance, is that any scratch and sniff type paint?
Don't think so.
Yeah.
It still didn't smell very well when I went in, but.
So their people came and did painting?
Yeah,
Actually did too.
yeah, donated the labor and the material.
It does really super. I
Looks
mean,
really
that's-
nice.
It does a lot of things like that.
Yep.
They do.
That was one of their community service projects. Thanks for signing the paper. It'd be really nice.
And I understand that The health board is gonna be submitting, they're reacclimating a little bit, and we'll be appointing some new members
Yeah,
next
our
month.
next meeting, we'll decide how we want to do it, and then we'll bring it to the board for a vote.
Okay?
In other words, a number of terms, make the terms for the members.
Yeah, we're
We're gonna
trying to
work it
get
out.
some of those things
The
sorted out,
next,
so,
the next July meeting.
yeah. Thank you, Dan. Andy?
About the other things that I did mention Monday, that the smart watch survey that we had done on all the buildings, the county buildings, came back. A lot of lighting suggestions, heating, cooling, couple areas. He meaning that Ori Cummings is the representative for Smart Watt, is gonna come on the June 25th meeting and present to the board his suggestions. I'll try to get with him and see if I can get that sent out to all the members ahead of time, so you've got something in your hands to look at. Quite a few different suggestions he's got, and I think it'd be best if, he'll present what they've got, and we can decide what we think we can do or what we can. And that, they all are budget neutral. I think they go through over a 10 or 12 year payback period, but whatever suggestions they make have to be budget neutral. So, and that's a combination of grants that they're aware of and cost savings to the county, so. When he presents, we'll know a little more on the 25th.
Do they help with the grants?
They'll help you with the grants, like if you're on Ameren has certain grants that you can get reduced lighting, LED lighting and different things on energy efficient lighting, heating, air conditioning. I think there's some government grants out there that they're aware of, they also help you get. So they put together this entire package, and actually a financing package that they can put together for you too. So they kind of help put this package together, and if what they suggest, for example, and I'm just pulling numbers out, they suggest that you'll save $100,000 and you only save $90,000, they make up the $10,000 difference. That's a state law, but it has to be budget neutral now. He said, we don't make mistakes very often, he said, so they're not gonna make
Not to stay in
suggestions.
business.
Huh?
Not to stay in business.
Yeah. But it's in, they're all over the country, and they've done an enormous amount of work, so we'll see what they have to offer on the 25th, let you know. So that's it.
Thank you. Any questions?
A quick question of Andy. I assume we had water coming in through the porches where we were looking at a while back in this last drain.
I don't know if I do, it's probably because something's plugged up. I've been waiting to see what.
Yeah, no, I know you've been waiting. I was just checking because you and I went around and talked about getting somebody to do the masonry work on all those big porches. And I walked in the basement and saw all the fans going, and it kind of reminded me of that.
All right. Okay.
Phil, do you have anything? John?
No.
Carl?
One thing I have is, as far as the airport, if you want to address something on that, that's.
We just still have a meeting set up for next week, Thursday, and we'll be going over there with the airport manager, Tom, myself, Derek. We'll be meeting and possibly Joe from the advisory board. I think it'd be good if he can go. And then we'll have our engineer there, and we're gonna meet over at Springfield. Then the next meetings will be held at the airport. So Derek will make you aware, so if you guys wanna drop out and see what's going on. And the idea is to pick up the projects that we were behind on and get them, and then explore possibilities for adding things in so that we can get caught up, move forward, okay?
The future projects that are already planned, possibly adding them.
Correct. For example, we do need to really address that one taxiway that we've made some minor repairs to, but that definitely needs to be milled and resurfaced. And there also, the engineer was talking about possibly adding a second taxiway that would tie in and really be beneficial for growth at the airport. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't promise, don't know.
You'll know a little more after.
Right, on the 25th, Derek and I'll be able to, I think, share a lot more with you, okay? Not that we're holding anything back, we just don't know, okay? All right? Yes, please.
I read through the inspection on the jail. Are we gonna do anything on that?
We did address that on Monday morning, and what, no, I'm gonna explain, I don't wanna, I'm not trying to say.
Yeah.
The sheriff and the sheriff's committee are going to address some of those issues. We discussed some recommendations, staffing, possibly even closing down part of the jail. I mean, everything's on the table.
Okay.
Obviously, there's got to be agreement and discussion amongst all the parties involved, the sheriff and the board. But we can't drag our feet on this anymore. We need to get some stuff done.
Right.
We need to show good faith to the state and to the people, and do it in concert, in agreement with each other.
Yeah, I'd just like to comment, I know the staffing has always been a major issue, but on the report, it's the little things that
That's my point.
get frustrating.
Right.
Things that can be fixed.
Things that can be fixed and fairly easily.
And what would be wrong with taking some of the inmates and putting them in like Clark County, and then working on that part, getting it done, bring them back and do the same thing with another part of the jail? It's gonna cost a little money, but in the long run,
It's got to be done.
it's gotta be done.
Right. Or that's what you'll have to do.
Right,
I mean, you
right.
know, depending on, if you only had 10 inmates in there, you could put them in one section and work it, but
Right.
that's
20.5, you can't do
Yeah,
that.
that's what happened last winter, we lucked out when they were welding,
right.
we just happened to be down to 15 people, so we,
Most
time
of
we
the
got
time,
around
that's
to
not the case,
the
so we're
other
gonna
side,
have to.
We got to move
shift.
somewhere else.
Right.
Give you 40 people.
Right.
That's what that Monday was.
Okay. I passed out the budget sheets. Again, we're on the accrual, so things don't always look, our expenditures are definitely in line. Our revenues are down, but you gotta remember, we got 3 months of revenue hanging out there that, or in some cases, 3 months, that's not reflected on the budget. We did some refining administratively on the health insurance. It's gonna impact it somewhat, but the contribution that the employees, non-union employees are gonna be making starting July 1st is gonna be 20%. And that's calculated in, so that is something that's being prepared for administratively. Don and Pam and I got together last week, or earlier this week, and handled that, but you guys should be aware of that. We're gonna have to look at, Carl, where do we stand now that we have or what is our intention with 911? And I'm not trying to spring anything on you. I knew you guys were waiting to hear on the audits to see where we wound up the year, so that they might relook at the contract or the agreement that we have with 911. Is that something that's still possible?
There was a little bit of talk about possibly waiting till after the contract was settled.
Okay.
But I think it was probably left that we weren't gonna make any adjustments, and we'd wait till the end of this budget year and make a new agreement to increase it, reflecting all the
That makes sense.
increases in salaries and everything.
That
So
makes good sense.
we're not probably gonna make any changes until the end of this budget year.
That's fine. I knew we had talked about it before, but that's fine. So, at any rate, that's basically, was gonna touch on the sheriff's report, so we've done that. So that's all I have, unless you have questions of me at this point. I don't know of any reason that we need a closed session at this point, unless we do. Okay.
We're gonna review closed session minutes.
Okay, I'm sorry, I missed that. So, is there anything else that come before this portion of the meeting? Can we move into exec session? I need a motion to go into closed session to deal with session past session minutes of the closed session? Yes, Andy moves, John seconds. Correct? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah, we can do a quick potty break.
Mr. Clerk, I'm shutting the camera off.
Okay. We are now back in open session, June 13th.
All right, gentlemen, we're back in open session, and the last item on the agenda is action on the closed meeting minutes. Are there any questions? Is there a motion to deal with the closed meeting minutes to keep them closed? I said that backwards, but you know what I mean. To keep them closed?
I make a motion to keep the closed session minutes closed.
All right. Yeah, yours having as much, I think I screwed everybody up on that bit.
I second what he said.
Whatever he said. Would you repeat that motion, please? Okay, did you have a question about it, Dan?
You didn't bring it to a
I
vote.
missed the
I haven't yet.
study session on
He had
Monday,
a
but
question. Is that about,
No.
is it about the minutes?
no.
Okay, then we
That's
need to
something
have a
else.
vote then
That's
first.
something else.
I thought you had a comment
No.
on that. All those in favor, oh, do we need to roll call it, or?
It's not a resolution, it's a
Okay.
motion.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Okay, they are going to remain closed. Now, Dan,
I missed the workshop on Monday, this 911, you tried to explain it to me, I didn't quite understand how it's gonna work with Northern Edgar County and the hospital ambulance service.
we don't know yet.
No, I thought you told me that they had agreed on something.
No,
Okay.
no. Currently, I'm sorry, go ahead, Carl.
On the, as far as the Northern Edgar County ambulance, they're still responsible for their district.
Okay.
But in the past, the Paris ambulance was their backup. But they've got a new protocol that the hospital Horizon ambulance is their #1 backup. And after that, it's, I think, the Paris ambulance, and then after that, Georgetown ambulance, and then after that is Arrow ambulance. So basically, they're just their new
Okay.
backup.
Yeah, I didn't.
Currently, that's all it is.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, that may have been what you thought. I did explain that to
You
you.
said something about, the way I interpret it is gonna be mainly the hospital ambulance, gonna be the backup for Northern Edgar County. And they were gonna staff a ambulance and paramedics at Christmas.
No,
They
what I,
have been providing some staff up there when they were
Staff free
short.
charge.
yes,
Yeah, heard through the church.
that's what I said. But
Okay.
they're using their ambulances when they do
Right.
it. Okay, they're not using the hospital's ambulance. They're going up there and actually staffing their
But
ambulances.
they're gonna use the Northern Edgar County ambulance.
Right,
Okay. I
okay?
thought you meant they were gonna take one of the
No, no,
hospital ambulances.
No.
They were needed.
no,
Okay, all right.
No.
Okay,
no problem.
all right, good.
Is there anything else to come before the board meeting this morning? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Andy moves. John seconds. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you, gentlemen.